Hello, my name is Michelle, and you're listening to Profit is a Choice. Joining me today is Jasmin Bryant with Fear No Video. Jasmin has had a very varied background. She has worked in television, she's worked as an actress, she's worked in the news, and she is going to share with us today how we can show up on video without fear. One of the things that Jasmin and I are going to focus on is how to remove some of the self-talk that we have before we ever do it, how to get ourselves ready to go on video, and also just how to make sure that the message is something that we want to share. So I invite you to listen in. Every day, empowered entrepreneurs are taking ownership of their company financial health and enjoying the rewards of reduced stress and more creativity. With my background as a financial software developer, owner of multiple businesses in the interior design industry, educator, and speaker, I coach women in the interior design industry to increase their profits, regain ownership of their bottom line, and to have fun again in their business. Welcome to Profit is a Choice. Hey, Jasmin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited.
Me too. We met and have done a what do you call it? I was going to say symposium, but that's not really what
Little master class.
A master class together, and just really hit it off in our conversations. And I was like, oh my gosh, we got to talk about this on the podcast. So I'm so thankful that you came to do that with us. Jasmin, if you don't mind, for our listeners, tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to the point to start your own business and to really focus on visibility and profitability through video.
I would love to. So thank you again for having me. I'm super, super excited about it. I'm a journalist. I've been in television for over 30 years. I'm a lot older than I look. So I get that, like, how are you in TV for 30 years? But I started when I was 15 on camera. And ever since, I've either been acting, I'm a Hollywood trained actress, or I have been behind the scenes helping to craft television programs, whether it's news or entertainment or talk. And so I love it. And I love, teaching people how to be comfortable on camera. Like, I've had so many networks. I mean, that's my job, right? Part of my job is for these TV networks to, have me teach people to feel more comfortable, because no one likes a microphone stuck in their face, right? It's just a little nerve-wracking, especially if you're like a normal person, not a TV person, or you're not, an actor. And so all of that, just all of those years of experience and years of helping, people to appear on national or local television, it led me to this, where I teach, network marketers, coaches, and business owners how to feel comfortable on camera, how not to be afraid of doing it, because it can be so incredibly scary. For some people, it's public speaking naked times 1,000, and I help them to get over that and to really become visible. Because as a business owner, and this, like, if people don't know you exist, you don't make money. We can say, I just want word of mouth, or I just want, organic marketing. And it doesn't always work out, especially when you're new, because no one knows who you are. So I help people to get out of that bubble of being the world's best kept secret, so they become visible and they can start to make money. And then they can go and do the organic thing.
That's right. That's right. It's so interesting. I was just thinking while you were talking, Jasmin, that there may be some of our listeners who are thinking, I don't want to do video. I have no plans to be on TV. And that's fine. I mean, it's totally fine. But here's the thing that I would say, and that is, it's the same feeling to me. It's very similar feeling as when I go on a photo shoot. And all of a sudden, it might not be a microphone in my face, but it's a camera in my face. And it's that you have to now show yourself, show the brand. You're speaking maybe in pictures versus in words, but it's the same thing. It's that how to show up and be yourself and be okay with being yourself, or saying your message or presenting your message. And so I find that some of my clients, I've started to see they've hired videographers, and they're putting together video reels and small video things, and they are so good. And what's so fun is that they also incorporate some of the bloopers and blunders and just make it fun to watch. And I think that is one of the things that makes even being in front of like a podcast or on even this is visibility, if you will. Like, we both had microphones and we checked to make sure they were working. And even though it's a bit more informal than some others, just being able to be in front of one person or multiple people and share your message, it really helps. And to feel confident and comfortable that you can be yourself. I think sometimes we feel like we have to almost be like Sasha Fierce, like take on this entirely different personality. And maybe we do in some cases, especially on the bigger stages and at the bigger moments. But just finding that ability to stand up, represent your brand, represent what you do, and then give that good, clear message is so important.
It really is. And can I bring your listeners behind the curtain for a second?
Sure.
Okay, so before we started, right, like I was under the assumption that we were doing this just audio, right? And so I didn't have on makeup and I was not prepared. And had you said, you know what, like we have a strict timetable, we have to do this right now, I would have done it. No makeup, bare face, slept on, got all of that, because my message is more important than I am. And that's one of the things that I try to have a lot of, like my clients and the people who follow me realize is it's not about us, right? It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about them. It's about the people that they serve, the people that we serve. And had you said, I'm sorry, Jasmin, you have to go, just as you are, then as uncomfortable as it would have been for me, just because I'm a little bit vain, right? But just as uncomfortable as it would have been for me, I would have done it because what, you know, your listeners will get out of this conversation is far more important than my ego and me looking good. So thank you for bringing that up, the authenticity and just giving that message, because we have to do it as business owners. We are helping people to solve some problem, and that problem is more important than us.
I think I mentioned to you, because we were laughing about it. You're like, "Can I have 5 minutes?" I'm like, "Take 5 minutes. That's fine, no problem." And I've mentioned to you that I showed up on a podcast one time, and the person interviewing me had on like a suit from the waist up. He had on shorts and tennis shoes, but he had on a suit from the waist up. And I didn't realize I was in like a workout top and a ball cap, because I had just come from working out. Everything that had come to me said there was no video, so I just wasn't expecting it at all. And it was funny. He's like, "Yeah, I probably should have told you that." I'm like, "Yeah, probably." And I said to him, "We can either talk with me in a ball cap and you in a suit, or we're going to have to reschedule. I don't have a problem talking like this if you don't have a problem showing it like this." And he was like, "No, let's do it." And we did. And I think that's so interesting to think that I think sometimes we self-limit. Jasmin, I know you probably talk about how we limit ourselves in so many ways, but thinking that we have to show up with some version of perfection. I know even in the podcasting world, there's a lot of talk about, is your audio okay? And is your video okay? And is this okay? And the spacing? And do you leave enough uhs and ums so it sounds natural without taking every one of them out? Is it over edited, under edited? Like, there is, for those that are listening, there is a lot that goes into even some of the production of audio only, and a lot of these rules and things that we kind of hear that make for easy listening or difficult listening. And, we can get caught up in all of the machinations. Here are the things you have to do. Here's the perfect way it needs to be done. I know one of my sons is dyslexic, and I can remember he has dyslexia and dysgraphia. And I can remember when he was younger and he was asked to write something. In his little mind at the time, it wasn't just about what is the story or the messaging, right, that I'm going to tell. He was thinking about all the mechanics that went around it, that I've got to indent, I've got to capitalize, I've got to punctuate, I've got to get the paragraph and the spacing correct. Like his little brain didn't go to what is the message, it went to how do I perfect, if you will, like the look and feel of the message. And it was too much. And I think it's the same for us. It's almost like a layering approach, right? You have to find your message. You got to be able to say your message. Then you can get dolled up and feel good, and the ego can come out to play. But you don't really get to bring the ego out to play if you don't have a good message.
Yeah, exactly. And your son's story is so on point for people when they are trying to be visible, or they just know that they need to be visible, but it's like, I have to get ready to get ready. And you have so much of that perfection syndrome, especially for women. We want it all to be, XYZ. This has to be perfect, it has to be everything. But one of my mentors, she said something that blew my mind, which was perfectionism is a, first cousin to procrastination. And so trying to get everything perfect just leads us to putting it off until we don't do it.
It's
And
so true. And I think women are harder on women and men are harder on women. I mean, it's so interesting if you watch out online, you know, no offense here to guys, but they can show up with a lot less care and attention to themselves. I'll put it that way.
kind
And
way to
people
put it, Michelle.
and but they won't be called out on that lack of care and attention. They might be called out on something else. Did you hear him say this? Did you hear him do that? Did you see what he did? But they're not necessarily calling him out on, wow, he hasn't whitened his teeth in a while, and wow, his hair could use a little color. It's getting a little gray, and look at that, he's getting a little saggy on the side. None of those visual things are called out for men as often as they are called, like everything is critiqued and called out for women, by
Mhm.
women and by men. Half the time I see people up doing things, and my first thought before it could even go to criticism is, well, good for them. I hope that's working. Good for them. Because if not,
Mhm.
my gosh, we could sit and criticize everything. And I believe, and you have to tell me, maybe you've done some research on this, Jasmin, but the more that we have a critical attitude and spirit towards others, the more critical that attitude is to ourselves. Like, I don't think it's possible for us to criticize other people at a really high level without turning that focus and criticism on ourselves in an extremely negative, hurtful, hold us back kind of way. I just don't see that being positive.
Yeah, like I mean, just anecdotally, right? It's what you put out there, you get back. And I believe that's whether it's, criticism or positivity. You put out a bunch of crap, you're going to get crapped on. Whether you're doing it to yourself or someone else is doing it to you. And what's that old saying? When you point a finger, you have three more
Three
pointing back
point
at you.
back. Yeah. And it's so true. It's because I think it's a view that we see through. And so if it's our view that we're looking at, our world view that we're looking at everything through, there's no way we can't look at ourselves with that same view, which is why, like we talked about, what you're putting out, you're getting back, is because that's what you're looking for. So how do we shift some of that? Like, so what do you see as the number one obstacle to keeping us as business owners from showing up on camera? What does that show up to be for you?
The number one thing that I see is it's really not thinking that you're good enough, not thinking
Yeah.
anyone wants to hear what you have to say, not anyone wants to see you on camera. And it's that imposter syndrome, those limiting beliefs, the perfectionism. I mean, it's all one big ball of nonsense, really. And I don't say nonsense in the sense that it's not real, because it is very real for so many people, especially women. But it's not real because it's in our heads and we have to get it out. And that is a challenge to get it out. But it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is your message has to be greater than all the nonsense that's in your head, all the, like for me, and I think we talked about this before, whether it may have not have been on camera when we spoke the last time, but for me, when I started in TV, I was a short, fat teenager. I mean, now I'm a short, fat adult, but I was a short, fat teenager, and you didn't see someone like me on television in the fourth largest TV market in the country. You just didn't see that. It was me. I did it because I wanted to be out there and I wanted to present the news to my peers. And that's what I did. And today, the same thing. As a short, fat adult, you don't see so many people who look like me doing videos all the time, going live. And I'm sure the people who are saying, oh, she shouldn't be on TV, she shouldn't be on video, she just, she needs to do X, Y, and Z. To which I say, I'm me, I'm going to do what I want because, again, what I have to say is important. And the lives I'm going to change are important. So you have to put that on repeat. You put that on repeat and then all
Right.
the negativity goes out. And also to your point earlier, I see the beauty in everything and everyone. So I project that onto myself, you know.
And that's a good point. I had a one of the first photographers that I worked with in a business setting. We were doing a photo shoot, and it was the first photo shoot I had ever done. And I was nervous, she was asking me to stand a certain way. I was laughing. I was trying not to laugh because my body was contorted in all these weird
Mhm.
ways. And, so that your neck can be out a certain way and your body can be this way. Anyway, I remember asking her, what do you do when you have to do a photo shoot with somebody who maybe doesn't look as attractive or doesn't present themselves a certain way? And she said the same thing. She said, Michelle, she said, what's been so great is when I've done a photo shoot for every single person I've ever done, there is something beautiful about them. And it shows, it just shows its way out, right? When I'm doing the photography. And it made me feel so much more comfortable in front of her because her view was there's beauty in everybody. And so to know that her job was to find the beauty in the person, it made me comfortable that she was looking for the beauty in me, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to she's looking at me through that, because all I could think is she's looking through that camera critically. And there is some criticalness to it, but she's trying to
Mhm.
make me look my best. Like, hold this in, put your arm here, move your hip this way, put your head that way. So there's a critical aspect to it from a business perspective. But then there's this search for the beauty that will radiate when those things are right. And so I love that
Yeah.
you said that on video. I know that I've been told so many times that I need to do more and more and more. I've even said it on the podcast 1,000 times. But there is something about it, and I'll get you to talk about that too. But I think it's getting easier. Like when we first started and you thought it was audio only, you didn't have your light ring up, you didn't have all your things. And we've come out with so much more technology now that makes it easier. But I've got that humongous light ring. I've got all that, right? With the light captive, where setting up my podcast studio or my video studio, when I used to have to do that a couple of years ago, it was like, I don't know, it was like an hour event to get all the pieces electronically set
Yeah.
up and plugged in. But now it can be so much more easy. So talk to us about, is it super expensive to get set up to start doing video, or what is the way to go about that?
No. Thank you for asking that because that is the number two thing that people, that keeps people from doing videos. They're like, oh, it's too expensive. I don't have time to learn the tech. I don't have the money to buy the tech. And seriously, all you need is your phone. You use your phone to start. Like, that's it. Clean your camera lens. Like that's my number one tip. Clean your camera lens, not with
Oh,
your
wow, that's
finger.
true. All the fingers.
Yeah. And like this is, it's in a case, but it gets dinged. And so just, get a cloth and just clean your lens and then just hit record. So tech, it doesn't have to be scary. So what I have, I'm not at home. So I have just a very simple setup, which is literally my web camera, and I have a little light that I purchased from Amazon for like $45. And normally I have my big Yeti microphone, but I'm using the headset today, so I don't have the microphone plugged in. But the microphone was probably normally it's around $100. But you don't have to even go that deep. You can literally just use your phone and get a if you don't get anything else, just get a selfie stick or that becomes a tripod so you can have a stable video shot. But I mean, my first, I don't know, however many videos when I was starting them for my health coaching practice 12 years ago, it was literally just my phone and my selfie stick going around the grocery store.
Right.
Like I was doing grocery store tours and it was literally just selfie stick and me. Like I take great selfies, and you'll start to learn how to take great selfies too once you start doing your videos. And so
That's
you don't
funny.
have to, yeah, you already have the phone. Just use that and start. And then as you progress, then you get the web camera, get the ring lights. I mean, lighting is everything. But if you don't have it, don't stress yourself out about it. Normally I have 3 lights. I have one directly in front of me and then 2 on the side, plus my natural light in my studio space.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, you don't have to go that far either, though, right? And I think
Right.
a lot of it
You
comes
don't.
down to what is the video going to be used for?
Mhm.
Certainly when I do video for my educational courses that I'm putting in my educational library, those are going to be a little bit more formal. I'm going to have a light,
Yeah.
but I tend to film those back to back to back. And so I have the lighting and everything set up. I've got my microphone, I've got my external camera. Today I even have in my AirPods so that I can block some of the noise without having the headset.
Mhm.
I have a little head, and so when I put that headset on, I usually have to prop it up, or even when it's as tight as it can be, it's hanging down over my ears. So I
Yeah.
must have a very small amount from the crown of my head to my ears. But anyway, it's really about trying to help block the noise and just helping people hear you better. And when I go
Yeah.
more informal, sometimes I'm just talking directly to my phone, and sometimes I'm using my AirPods. So, it really doesn't have to be. Probably for about $150, you could get most of everything you needed to get if you were trying to do it
Yeah.
on a more frequent basis. And then if you work
Yeah.
with a videography company, they're going to bring in all of the supplies that
Mhm.
they need. So then it's really about you presenting and showing up with your message.
Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't have to be scary.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jasmine, so with that, tell us a couple of things we could do to get comfortable on camera.
Well, my biggest thing is to smile, right? Like you cannot be in a foul mood if you're smiling. And if you're smiling, you're taking some of the pressure off, because you are just, "Ah, okay, this is me. I can do this." And if you're doing it with your phone and you're looking back at yourself, you're now looking at yourself smiling. So, treat the camera as a trusted friend. And that's my second tip. Treat the camera as a trusted friend, and you're smiling at your friend smiling back at you. And you can just take that pressure off and then you just do it. You take some breaths and you smile and then you just think about what it is you're going to say. One thing I like to tell people to practice, because that helps you to be more comfortable also, but don't practice to the point of memorization, because you don't want to memorize your script. And when I say script, it's really just an outline, because you know what you're going to say. You know what your message is. You just have to get it out. And so when you are, when you're smiling and you've practiced and you've thought about what you're going to say, and it just flows out of you. And don't do too many takes. You get more frustrated the more you do. I say limit in the beginning to like 6 takes, 5 or 6 takes. Whatever it is, that's what it is. Don't beat yourself up, because then you're going to keep thinking it's not perfect. It's not perfect.
What I learned was the same kind of thing: is don't memorize it. Instead, think of, here are the points that I'd like to get across. If anything, I memorize the points in order so that I know this
Mm-hmm.
is kind of the route that I'd like to take as I'm sharing. And then you just speak from the heart. I mean, I found
Yeah.
just being able to just be, right? Which tells you if you can't say something, and I'm not saying, look, we all have like scripts and things we have to learn sometimes, but if it feels so unnatural that you can't memorize it, you can't learn it, you can't bullet point it, then you might want to stop and rethink the messaging because the
Yeah.
messaging should be, like you said, it should just flow out at some point. Another thought that I had that I would share that has helped me is not to go too fast. We tend
Yes.
to feel like we need to speed it up so that we can get our message out really faster if there's like this time limit. When a lot of times, if we will actually talk a little bit, I have to slow myself down. I could get on here and have a podcast in 10 minutes to cover 30 minutes worth of information because I tend to just drill. And so I'm constantly saying, slow down, Michelle, enunciate, Michelle, do this, do that, like just in my head, because other people can't absorb it sometimes as fast as we can say it. And so just,
Yeah.
kind of self-regulating, maybe do a couple of takes of something to see how fast you speak.
Yeah.
That's a good thing because I don't know. I guess sometimes we just feel like we just need to say it real fast and get it out and just move on to the next thing. And then we realize, my gosh, we're speaking at 2x speed. And that's too much.
Yeah. And then that's a great point. And I tell myself that as well because I'm a fast talker to start with. But also, I had a dental surgery years ago and it left me with a bit of a stutter. So the faster I go, the worse it is. And then it's like, okay, Jasmin, take some breaths, step back and refocus yourself and then go slower. And again, to your point, when you are going too fast, it's really just because you're just trying to just get it over with. Like something that's painful. You just okay, it's done. I did it. And you have time. You can take some breaths and just go a little bit slower.
I know you've said it a couple of times, and I don't even know that you are, maybe you recognize that you're saying it, but you keep saying, take some breaths, take some breaths. And I think it's really important, to stop and breathe into what we're doing and allow breath and air and space around what we're saying. And with that, I think we often are taught to fill empty spaces. And that's where the
Mhm.
uhs and the ums and the speaking really quickly comes from, is there's an empty lull or space or moment, and we're feeling like it needs to be filled. And I'm here to say the same way that we like to take pictures with white space and we like websites with white space, we love in design a place for the eye to rest. There's nothing wrong with having a place for our ears to rest in our speech.
Yeah,
Having that moment so that you can take a breath is totally fine. We just have to learn to be okay with that.
absolutely. Absolutely. And when you take those breaths, you'll be surprised how much better your videos come out. And so for anyone who's watching, anyone who's listening, you take those breaths and you'll feel calmer, your message will be clearer, and you'll be surprised at how much better your video is. And just to circle back to something that you said a minute ago, watch watch a recording. Now, I don't like watching myself on camera. Like when I was acting, I've only seen a handful of the movies and TV shows I've been in because hypercritical, right? Hypercritical. But watch what you've recorded, not to be negative or to be critical of yourself, but to critique yourself. And there is a difference, right? I could improve on this. I would never say, "Oh my God, this was horrible," right? I could improve on this, or this. Or I noticed that I looked around. I noticed that I was fidgeting. I noticed, whatever it is that you notice that you want to course correct on. And if you don't trust yourself to do it, get a friend, someone who has your back. Don't get the friend who's jealous of you, who talks about you, but
Yeah,
get a trusted friend who has your back to watch your videos for you and give you honest feedback on what you could improve upon and what you did really good with.
that's a great idea. The other thing that I would say is I learned one time when I had to get up on stage and give a keynote. It was a large group, and it was interesting. I speak in front of people all the time. I have since I was young. I tell the story. I'd love to be in student council just so I could get up and give the speech. I offered to give the speeches of the other people so that they could run because they didn't want to do it. I'm like, I'll give your speech for you. But I've always loved that. But it doesn't mean that when you go to climb up on that stage, you don't feel some rumbles in your stomach. We all do.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the biggest helps for me, you know, how you had said that your mentor made the comment, I think that procrastination was the cousin of
Of perfection. Mhm.
perfectionism, either way that you come at
Yeah.
it.
Same
One of
diff.
the,
Yeah.
yep, same thing. The thing that really got to me was that the feeling of fear and excitement is the same in your body.
Mhm.
And so, what was feeling what I had termed as fear, even though I wasn't, I would say mentally, I wasn't necessarily afraid when I felt it in my body, I identified that feeling as fear until I stopped and realized, wait, this is actually butterflies of excitement, not butterflies of fear. Like, I don't need to run. I'm in a safe space. Nobody's going to throw tomatoes at me. Like, I know what I'm
Right.
going to talk about. This is going to be okay. But even just mentally finding that way to switch it to say this is
Mhm.
actually excitement. And then the second thing I did was before I went on stage, before the whole thing started, you know how you get all that excess energy when your body's getting ready? It is kind of like a fight or flight. You're like, I got
Yeah.
to
Oh,
say this
absolutely.
and then I'm out of here. Peace out. Like you're trying to get away. I get that. But what I did was try to refocus it. So I put on some hype music. I look at what is the
Yes.
music that makes me want to move to get some of that energy out, but that hypes me up in a good way. It
Mhm.
doesn't bring me down. It makes me feel even more excited to go share
Yeah.
my message. And it kind of get a little bit of a groove and a beat going in my head and in my body.
Yeah.
And just moving out that energy puts me in a better place. So I'm not so fast and frenetic when I
Mhm.
start to speak or to do a video. Do you
Oh,
have any kind of
I
thing
do.
like that that you do that's similar?
I do. I do. And it's funny that you mentioned that because one of the things that I'll do if I am recording a video and it may be it'll be rare, but I might have a dozen takes because I'm not happy with whatever it is. And I have to stop and then I'll start dancing. Whether the music is in my ear or just in my head, I have to start dancing. And then it shakes all of the negativity out. It shakes all of the whatever it is that's blocking me from doing what I need to do. It just shakes it off. And then I'm good. I can go. And it's just boom, 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 we're done. And before I give a speech, I will, like you, I'll have some little dancing going because it helps me, it relaxes me, it makes me happy, and it channels all that nervous type energy into something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. It's funny. Taylor Swift Shake It Off. I use
Mm-hmm.
that quite often. So if I tried to do a take for video and I kept messing it up, I would stop and turn that on because it not only was it a beat so that I could get the energy, but just that shake it off, shake it off, shake it off, shake
Mm-hmm.
it off, and then I can go back and do it. So, there's one thing about finding something with a beat, but sometimes you have to have words that support you,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that's a fun way to kind of get through it. Create your own hype reel before you do it so you can watch it.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. One song that's on mine is Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus.
Yep, yep. Isn't
It's
that
just and
funny?
it's just a fun song. And like you can't feel flustered when you have that song. I mean, and she talks about she's got butterflies and then her song comes on and they fly away.
One of my favorite
And it's like,
songs is Dynamite. I throw my hands up in the air.
oh
You
yeah.
know what I'm talking about? I love that one. It just kind of gets me going and it's light and happy. So I think that's fun is create your reel. Have a little Spotify hype you up reel or whatever it is that you listen to your music on.
Exactly. Exactly. We have to be our own hype people.
That's
Right?
right. That's right. And then I think it's just making an intention to do it. right? Just do it. Nobody cares. Everybody, if they love your message and if they love you, they're going to be supportive. But I think this with
Mhm.
anything is a muscle we have to flex, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the first time you do it, it will be scary and it probably won't be good. Right. But the second, the third, the fourth time, it just gets so much better, so much easier. And you'll feel so much freer too. Like once you start it and you do it and you say, look, I'm amazing. I can do this.
I love that. I'm amazing. I can do this. Jasmin, if people want to work with you, talk to you, figure out what you're doing, see more about it, how can they find you?
So I've got, well, I do have a gift for
Oh,
your folks.
awesome.
So I have the 5 keys to beat camera shyness. So if you go to beatshyness.com, you will be able to get that little ebook. And fearnovideo.com is where people can find me 24 hours a day. And I'm at Fear No Video on every single platform on social media that there is.
Awesome. And we'll put all that in the show notes as well so people can find you and interact with you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here today, for the laughter and getting through all of the technical glitches and all the different
I
things.
know.
I guess that's it with video or with anything. You got to be able to roll with what's coming. With technology, I think if it's taught me anything, it's taught me that there is no such thing sometimes as perfectionism. You just go with what you got.
Yeah, you really have to. I mean, tech it's great when it works. When it doesn't, it's the most heart-wrenching thing ever. But you shake it off like Taylor. You know that you're dynamite and you just do it and you work around it and you have to just forget it happened.
That's right. And just
Because
keep
it
going.
happened. Just
No
keep
doubt.
going. I mean, I was doing a video once and a bird and it was a live video. And I was out in a garden in London and a bird came and just knocked the camera off the tripod into the bushes. It happened.
It happens, no doubt. And if anything else, I guess it'll show up as a fun reel to watch later, right?
Exactly. Even your mistakes or your goofs or your bloopers can be useful.
That's right. That's right.
So
Well, Jasmin, I really appreciate your time today and thank you for sharing with us.
thank you so much for having me.
Have a great new year.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. That was such a fun time, even though we had so many technical glitches. And I'm just thankful to Jasmin for hanging in there. Check out what she has for us to beat the shyness, to get on video. All the links are in our show notes. I also want to encourage you, if you've been shy about looking at your financials or looking at your business, or even just saying, hey, I've done all I can do alone and I want to go further. I really want to invite you to go grab a discovery call with us. I would love to chat with you and see if some of the offers that I have could meet your need. We have low to high. I have financial courses like Understanding Your Financials, Master Your Profit, Pricing Without Emotion. Then we have our CFO to Go services where we can meet you and help you create a plan on what to monitor and how to monitor. And then we also have the opportunities for you to do coaching with me and with my team and to work with us in a deeper capacity. So all the way from a course to full-on coaching, we can help you in a multitude of ways. And I'd love an opportunity to have that discussion with you. You can find out more at scarletthreadconsulting.com. And I'd be remiss if I didn't end this podcast by telling you to check out matriquesolutions.com. I truly believe with all my heart that that is a program that can help every single business be financially savvy, financially aware, and give them the ability to make decisions with empirical data instead of with a gut feeling. It is truly some of my life's work poured into software. And you can find that at matriquesolutions.com. Remember, the whole goal of this podcast is to help you be profitable. And we believe that profit doesn't happen by accident. Profit is a Choice is proud to be part of the designnetwork.org, where you can discover more design media reaching creative listeners. Thanks for listening and stay creative and business minded.